This is an Ellis Mowers and Mower small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's small engine repair, we're going to be looking at part 2 here of the Sabre by John Deere lawn tractor. Part 1, found out that the engine was bad. We swapped a new engine in it, and then found out the head gasket and that one was bad. So we replaced the head gasket, put a carburetor on it, adjusted the valves and all that good stuff. Swapped the coil over to get it running again and in good shape. So that is essentially done. We will have to find some engine cover stuff to put on this. We're going to have to change the flywheel fan out. It depends on what I can find in terms of brackets and whatnot so that I can retrofit engine covers. And I just got to find something that works. But in part 2, what I got to do is replace the drive bell on this. We've got to find some blades somewhere. I don't know if we're going to find any blades. And really just clean it up. We'll see if I can get a day that's actually warm enough where I can power wash this thing. It's supposed to be below freezing for many days, or right at freezing, and I'm not really interested in getting something out just for that. So and potentially freeze my rear end off. But we'll take care of all of hopefully take care of all this and get this thing done in this part. So hopefully y'all stick with me. I hope y'all enjoyed part 1. If you haven't watched it already, in part 2 we'll hopefully bring this Sabre mower back to life. Back to life fully. So we'll see what we end up doing. Hopefully y'all enjoy the video, and we'll get started. Alright, so we're down underneath the machine here. I don't know how much I can show you. I think I can see pretty much everything right here. Part 1, I kind of already have started on this, so pardon if y'all haven't seen it yet. But I already took the double stack pulley off. There's a spring that connects to a couple of pulleys up here as well. That appears to have fallen off. I think it connects up top to that pulley right there, and so I got to put that back in before we put the belt back on. So I just take this down for right now. The other piece connects up top, kind of in between the steering shaft and the double stack pulley on this. What I have to do in order to get this off, though, so it's easy to take it off of, it should be at least easy to take it off of this rear. It is. And then these two, so it kind of goes around and then back like that, I believe, is how it was. So, yeah, that's how it went. And so we'll pull this off, but my hang up is I've got to get the steering shaft here, right? So I've got to pull this. I'm going to go ahead and pull this all out. I don't think I've got any other hang-ups. Or do I? Oh, I do. I've got the park brake. The park brake lever as well, which is right here. So I've got to get a nut to take that off. And then what I like to do a lot of times here is take the cotter pin out of this part of the front tie rod here and slide the belt up through that instead of trying to take the pin out of that one that you can't access very easy, because you have to, it goes essentially through that and you got to take that off. So I'm going to work on those two items. We'll get this belt off. I'll size one up and then we'll go ahead and put it on. Well, the good news is, now that we're focused, this belt is like a 96-inch belt, 96 and a half, I think to be exact, which is a direct cross-reference to a Troy-built MTD 42-inch deck belt, which I have plenty of. So that was a perfect a perfect match, really. Now this belt, this belt is not new, but it is not cracked, so it's used, but it's going to work just fine on this. We're not trying to do, anything crazy here. What I've got to do though is I've got to get this underneath here so that we can get it around the steering shaft. Actually, I think I'm going to take the whole thing up through there. I always get mixed up whenever I'm putting these on. But, so I think that's going to go too. Got to get it completely through there. That makes absolutely no sense, does it? Alright. The headlight plug, the mower itself is actually missing the headlights on it. So, let's see what we can do here. So, got to get that around. Got to feed it through the back here, above all of this. Alright, so I'm going to get y'all back down there so that y'all can kind of see how I'm feeding everything through. But you got to get it over this top piece for the drag link first. And so once you do that, you should be good. Yeah, we should be good to go. Alright, so hopefully y'all can see everything that y'all need to see while I do this. We're going to get down here and let's see what I've got to do. So I've got it back here now. We're going to send it over the rear drive pulley while we're back here so that we're good. And then I gotta get it through the, let's see, through there. I'm pretty sure. Let's see, it should. Yeah. So technically what this should do is go right here and then back. We've got to go on top of that. I don't know why it was so easy to get off, but now it's not wanting to move for me to get it through that little piece right there. Because what it'll do is it'll go around the front pulley to the back and then around like this. I'll show you all here. Just going to go around like this. Like so, in order to get to the front. And so I've just got to get it through the little bracket here. I may have to turn the wheel a little bit in order to get it up there. I don't know why. It was easy to do to start. Gotta be careful because I do have it on the mower jack, so that help me any. I think it will. So I accidentally kicked the tripod, so y'all didn't really get to see a lot of this, unfortunately. But what we're going to do now is put the double stack pulley back on. The spring just slides into a slot on the tensioner pulley back there. Excuse me. So I'm going to put this double stack pulley back on up front here. slide it into place. And we got to sort out that spring right there, but we'll get that in just a second. I'm just gonna get that screwed in. I'll remember to tighten that down here in just a second. So the drive belt, transmission belt goes, let's see, so it's gonna go like well, it's gotta go above the belt's gotta go above the spring to start, so or below the spring. What am I not doing right here? Let me work from the back, because that made it easier going from the back here. So the belt goes around like that. And it is tight, so just like so. And then this tensioner pulley tensions everything up. So I've got to put that back into the slot there that it was in. Which I just had, of course. Now I can't seem to get it in. Alright, so that's in now. I don't think I'm going to film the, let's see. At least I think I got it in. I thought I did. Now I do. Okay. Now I don't. Never mind. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. So, oh my goodness. So now what I'm going to do is get enough strength so that I can pull this spring, which is going to be super fun, into this hole, which probably isn't going to be very easy to do. So let me see what leverage I can get on this spring here so that I can pull it into this hole. There we go. And hopefully get this tension back onto it. I know it's not going to be the easiest thing to do, but we'll get it, and then I'll tighten down the double stack pulley, and we'll be in a good position actually to see if this thing will drive. So let me go ahead and get all that situated. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit light down here so that y'all can see one more time. Oh, so getting this belt on, and I thought I cross-referenced the model and everything, and it said 96 and a half. That was too short. What happened was whenever I try and ride it around here, it was actually making contact on this side with the belt. So I found a 98-inch belt, and that seems to be the size that we need here. So maybe it could be a 97 and a half, but everything clearance-wise is good. What do you have to do is, again, you have to feed it through the front of the drag link there, one side of it. Get it over, or get one side underneath this, and the other side rides on top of this, and you get it into your main pulley here for your double stack. You still have this piece off here for the park brake. you send it back to the back pulley, and then on the, which side is it? The right side of the tractor gets the pulley, goes around this pulley and then over around this pulley. Your spring, what I did is I put the spring back on this side first, and then I used some pull rope and got it around the back here before I put the belt on. Now when I put the belt on, what I did is I got it around every pulley except for this pulley, and then I used the leverage of the tensioner spring to pull this back as I wrapped it around this pulley, and that seemed to have done the trick. So given all of that, I'm going to make sure that this transmission, after I get it down and I get this bolted in, and then get that little 10 millimeter for the park brake lever back on, I'm going to make sure the transmission is engaged, and what we're going to do is see if we've got movement now that we know that the engine is good. Hopefully the transmission is good, and then we'll work on getting the deck to be good after that. Alright, so I got it all back on. Let's crank it up. Hopefully I engage the transmission again. Hopefully this thing will, let's see, we got it in neutral, park brakes on. So I'm hoping that this thing will just kick on and drive away here. Excellent. Started up, ran good, drove. So we're 2 out of 3. We're running and driving. Now we need to get cutting. Cutting wise, like I said, I need to find me some blades. I think I've got some hanging around out in the back here. And everything looks like it's free, so hopefully all I got to do is put the mower deck back on. And maybe what I'm going to do is take that front out there and beat it out a little bit, because it looks like that portion of the deck is bent in a little bit. So I may just take a hammer to it. But man, we're getting close. We're running and driving. So we also have to figure out the situation here with the air cleaners, which is just a few bolts and a couple of covers. So that ain't that big of a deal. And then really what I've got to do is just wait until the next day to make sure this thing will cold start again, because it was really tough to start this morning, and it may have been because of the head gasket issue, but I'm not completely sure. As y'all saw, it cranked over just fine just a second ago, so we shall see. But that's exciting. I'm going to get the mower deck working on that next. Y'all might see this a little bit different when y'all get back, when I get back as well, after I get back from lunch. Alright guys, so I did not have John Deere blades, but I have some Murray blades, which the hole was just slightly bigger, but with the size of these lock washers and stuff, I think that we're going to be just fine with them. So I got them all on here. They look pretty even for what they are as well. These things are not going to come off, so I think we'll be in good shape, and hopefully everything will be good on it. So what I've done, I've also taken a hammer and knocked out some of that deck a little bit, get it a little bit more straight. I'm going to take it, put it back on the machine next, and we'll hopefully test this thing out here in a minute. I don't have any sort of discharge chute for it, so I'll either fabricate one, find one, or do something. I might have one on not a scrap mower, but another mower that may not see the light of day as soon as this one. So I'll see what I end up doing with that. All the pulleys are moving freely on everything, actually, so the drive and the deck, so that's good. And so what I'm going to do now is just figure out what I can do engine cover wise here, because I think if I can figure out this engine cover situation, then we'll be in really good shape. So I'll go ahead and take care of that, see what I can find. So I got to look at the Murray blades. I didn't really like it because they sit too high on the deck, even though they fit on the spindles fine. I found these behind the lean-to there, have some blades that are just chilling back there. 38-inch John Deere blades, so perfect. Sharpen them up, put them on there, and we're good to go in that aspect. So we can throw these away because they have lost their luster, so to speak, lost their lift. So now I've got a discharge chute. I've got it on a mower outside. I'm going to go take it off real quick and add it to this mower deck so that we can complete it. And then I'm just going to slide everything back underneath, put everything back together like I showed you how to take it off in part one. Couple of pins in the front, sliding pins at the top, middle of the deck, and then these little pieces right here slide onto a couple of brackets in the back of the deck. And then you clip your blade engagement cable, well, rod in this case, down. One other thing I ended up finishing up here, which was good, was the engine cover, which is, I just used the original one. The flywheel fan worked. That was on it already, and so instead of the standard like metal cover on it, I was able to put one of these plastic, what they call, I guess you could call it turbo cool covers on it. So a little bit of an upgrade, I would suppose. Air filter box and everything's back on it. So this thing's ready to roll, I think. Yeah, so all I gotta do is get the deck back on it, and we've got to we got to find something to screw onto here for the transmission, so that you don't have to have any issues with moving it back and forth. So I'll either find something that slides on there or find something that screws on there to make that work. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of all of that, get the deck back on it, and we'll see, and the discharge chute, which is just a couple of bolts, and we'll see if we can get this thing cutting in addition to running and driving here in just a second. Alright guys, so got the mower deck back on it. This thing has made a pretty big impact in the front at some point, so it is sloped down a little bit. I wanted to pull it back up a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, because it's just pushed back, and one of the brackets is kind of wanting to try to separate right here, so I don't want to really mess with it anymore. It's still firmly attached though, from everything that I can tell. But it's all back on again. You have your front mounts, as you see right here, and then you have some mounts. Let me lower the deck a little bit for you. If you're familiar with a Scott's mower, it's the same thing pretty much, or even a John Deere LT. I think the John Deere LTs are a little bit different actually. So you have that pin right there in the middle of your screen right there that you have to lift this arm up and slide that pin into and clip it on. You have to make sure that the back part of the deck slides into these little brackets as well. This thing amazingly did not need any adjusting. It's pretty darn close the way that it is, even considering that the deck is a little bit sloped downward because of the impact that it took at some point in time. But shoot, everything else is good. I did put a little handle on here. I didn't have one that fit it perfectly, but this one fit pretty well, and I just put a little worm clamp right there to keep it from falling off, and it works really well from what I can tell so far. So that's good. Real benefit that this is a hydrostatic transmission, and so that's really nice. And all the tires hold air, so I mean, we're already hit a lot of the basics here. I showed you all that already. I'm going to go ahead and put the hood on it, and probably go ahead and swap out that discharge chute. I just need to find what tools I need to get that off to swap over there. Usually it's just a couple of carriage bolts. Put the hood on it, and hopefully we're going to drive this thing out of here and turn some blades on here next. Oh, I did forget, you do have to put the rod back on for the blade engagement, which is just a clip and a washer. After you do all that though, I mean, everything's on. You can see the belt's tightening and loosening. That's at the lowest setting, and it's got plenty of, it doesn't have a lot of slack, so that's good. Just need to make sure none of this drops and flies off of these pulleys or anything like that. But everything's got pins and stuff. None of the pins are broken off, so I'm really pleased with, I'm actually happy with the condition of this machine, which is why I pulled it in when I did. It is unfortunate that I had to put an engine on it, but because it seems like everything that comes in here needs an engine here lately. So I'll be looking forward to having something that doesn't require one, hopefully in the next project. I'm going to get the hood on, discharge chute, and hopefully we'll pull this out of the garage next. Well, there we are, guys. Got it all together here. You know, not bad for what it is. Like I said, I wish the deck wasn't quite sloped as bad as it is, but nothing really I can do to fix that, just because it has received a pretty big impact on the front at some point. But what I'm going to do is see if this thing will crank up, number one. And if it does, we'll take it out here. I'll put the park brake down for a second. Drive it around a little bit, and then we'll throw the blades on and see if they work. Here a little bit. It's going to be so nice if I have this thing done today. That's really good. The smoke that you see right now is just all the residual oil smoke from where the head gasket was before, where the head gasket was replaced. So it's got to burn off over the course of time. I'm very happy with this though. degrees outside, so I can't quite do that right now. Nonetheless, though, I call this one good. Very happy. Going to take it up and down the driveway a couple times just to make sure everything's straight on it. And if time allows and the weather allows, before I have to post this video in the schedule, you'll see this thing cleaned up and ready to go. Nobody's buying anything right now, so what is today? Wednesday. I think the warmest day that we've got coming up here is Monday. It's supposed to be in like the mid-40s, so that's enough to wash this thing, but between now and then it's not, so it'll just have to stay dirty for a few days. But I'll wash it, let y'all see the final result of it, and this thing will be hopefully ready to go after that. The only other wild card is I want to come out here and cold start it tomorrow just to make sure it will start, but now that I've had it running for a little while, it started great just a second ago. I think we're going to be okay. And by the way, I did check the battery. The battery is charging on it as well. So those of y'all who are around in part 1 probably want to know what happened to the original engine on this before I clean everything up on it and show you everything. So we're going to pop this open just so y'all kind of can see. Might have to grab my bigger hammer in order to get it off. Now we got it. Okay. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing up a little bit more here. So I hear some things turning in here and rumbling around, which I didn't really like to hear, so. Oh yeah, this thing is toast, I can see it. Yep. So, let's see what happened here. Do we have a good governor from it though? Maybe. Yeah, I think so. So we can keep the governor. Camshaft? No. It's too bad because that's one of the metal camshafts that never have an issue. What do we blow here? Not the... Yeah, it blew the connecting rod. And... looks like it just blew the connecting rod wrist pin. Where at least where it connects around to the mower, to the crankshaft. So it's kind of unfortunate, but it's not worth me putting another connecting rod in it with all the Briggs singles that I have. I think y'all can see that, right? Let me give y'all a little bit closer look. The block's still intact, which is good, but I have a good block right here, so it's like just throw that block and put all the parts off of this onto that and turn it into a decent engine again. That thing's been sitting there for over a year now, I think. But that one's got an oil pump and all that stuff on it. So, but yeah, so that's that. Pretty much gonna let it go to the trash. Unfortunately, metal shavings and stuff. I guess this thing just got run low on oil or something, because this, or you never know, something could have happened with the counterbalance. I see some of the counterbalance stuff is damaged back here too, so it's not worth putting anything onto it, any money into this. So we'll send it on. There's a head gasket on here that's actually it's partially broken as well. So Either way, not bad, but yeah. So that's the cause of the blown engine that we took off of the Sabre in part 1, and in part 2, here we have finished everything up, and I'll reveal to y'all the final product here next. Alright guys, well, we got this thing done. I'm not going to take pictures of it currently because there's snow on the ground, and the pictures will be irrelevant if I take them now, and you know, this thing doesn't sell until March or April. So, but everything turned out really nice on it. Y'all saw it running, driving, cutting. It's doing great. I just wanted to show it to y'all what it looks like after everything's done. We have, ooh, let me get that off the tripod there so I can show y'all. We have cleaned everything up for the most part up underneath here. It's running good. It's still a little bit of oil burn on startup, but I think it may be because I had so much oil in the head gasket, and who knows how long this thing was ran without that, or like that, so it could just have to burn off a ton of oil. Worst case, if it smokes a little bit on startup, so be it, you know. It ain't going to be the end of the world by any means. You know, do what it needs to do, right? So we'll crank it up here. I need to push this pedal down. Couple cold starts, it was smoking pretty good out of the exhaust, but there was just a large pool of oil down there in the bottom that needed to be taken care of, and so I got all that sorted. I'll show y'all the cutting and driving one more time. Show y'all that it's coming from the exhaust. And not it's just all burning off the exhaust because there's just been so much oil caked on it. So it just needs to, I just need to maybe run it a little bit just to get all that stuff off. But regardless, y'all see that it's running fine otherwise. So just a ton of oil that needs to burn off. And we'll give it a good run after it, once it warms up a little bit. But yeah, so y'all see that it is running. It's just all kind of caked up under the exhaust down there, so I can hear it bubbling up and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy. But once I get it running for about 15 or 30 minutes, all that'll cook off and bake off, and it won't look like this anymore, like a smoking mess. But either way, we got it fixed. it is running good. The smoke will go away here after it runs for a little while. It's just the way that it's going to be for a few minutes because of all the oil that it burned off and leaked out whenever we had that head gasket issue back in part 1. So we do know that the other engine was terminal because we looked at it. Obviously not worth rebuilding. But we got this thing back going again. You don't see a lot of Sabres around anymore. Most of these have aged out at this point. Basically a cheap John Deere LT series machine, and built probably about 80% of what those LT John Deeres were. They're still decent machines. The front end on this one is not in the best shape. It's a little bit hard to steer, but it's got a hydro trans. The deck's in decent shape, even though it got hit pretty hard at some point. It is level, so it should cut pretty well for what it is. And you know, all in all, it's probably like a $400 to $450 mower, but we don't have any money in it, hardly at all. So a battery, maybe I can find a used battery in the garage as opposed to a brand new battery to put it in, save me a couple of bucks. But you know, somebody will just get this and use it and hopefully enjoy it for a few years before you know, something major like a deck rust out or something like that. But everything's solid. Overall, this thing's in pretty good shape, which is why I pulled it out. It didn't look like it needed much, and I was pretty much correct. The biggest thing was the engine, obviously. We got that engine. Found an engine off of a Scott's mower. That's a 17 horsepower. Threw it on here, and everything seems to be good with it. And we'll let it be. And once it's time to cut grass, somebody will have a nice, cheap 38-inch cut hydrostatic mower that they can use to cut their grass. And like I said, basically got this one done in a couple of afternoons worth of work. If it was just a direct engine swap, it probably would have been like a day's worth of work instead of 2 days. But super nice, and somebody will enjoy it. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video, this two-part video. A little bit of an extended video, just to kind of give y'all a little bit more of the work that I did on this machine. Putting the drive belt on, changing the blades out, but most importantly, putting this engine on, changing the head gasket out, and getting it to be in good shape. I do appreciate y'all watching this video. Thanks again, and I will catch y'all on the next one.